Hey, what's up? Welcome to this new video. This one is paper 1-3 of May-June 2011. Now, with that being said, let's move on to question number 1. Now, here we have the coefficient of x cubed in this expansion, where a is positive, is 90. So find the value of a. Okay, so let's have a look. So when you expand this, for the term in x cubed, it is supposed to give you 90 x cubed. So using this information, we have to find the value of a. So step by step, from here we can expand everything, or we can choose the term in x cubed. For example, that will be 5 combination something times a, and here we have plus x. Now for it to become x cubed, we have to have power 3 here. If this is 3, this will be 3 as well. 5 minus 3 is 2. Okay, so in this expansion, the term in x cubed will be this one. Now for this one, plus here. Again, same steps. Here we have 6 combination. We don't know yet. Here we have 1, and here we have minus 2x. Now for this one to become x cubed, we have to have cube here. This will be 3, and that will be 3 as well. 6 minus 3 is 3. Let's try to simplify. So here we have 5, choose 3. That should be 10. This is a power 2, is a squared, x power 3. Plus 6, choose 3. That should be 20. Times 1 times minus 8x cubed. Simplify. So this will give you 10a squared x cubed minus 160 x cubed. Now let's try to factorize them together or combine them together. We take out the value of x cubed. You will have 10a squared minus 160. Right. So now we know this thing here is supposed to be 90 given to you by the question. So let's equate. So 10a squared minus 160 is supposed to be 90. So 10a squared will be 90 plus 160. So a squared will be what? So 90 plus 160 is this divided by 10, right? That should be 25. So a will be the value of root of 25, and that should be 5. Because here is said that a must be positive, so because of that we will only take one value of a, which is a is equal to positive 5. Now let's move on to the next question. Find the set of values of m for which the line intersects the curve thus at 2 distinct points. So whenever you see 2 distinct points, it will lead down to b squared minus 4ac is more than 0. But first thing first, we have to solve these 2 equations simultaneously. On one side you will have mx plus 4 is equal to 3x squared minus 4x plus 7. Send everything to one side, you will have 3x squared minus 4x minus mx plus 7 minus 4 is plus 3. Let's factorize this together. You will have 3x squared. Let's take plus outside. You will have minus 4 minus mx plus 3. This is the value of a, value of b, and c. So b squared will be what? Minus 4 minus m squared minus 4 times a times c. Okay, so let's try to, of course, here b squared minus 4c needs to be more than 0, so more than 0. Okay, now let's simplify. That will become what? That will become, or we can just leave it like this for now. That will be minus 4 minus m squared. So what is minus 4 times 3 times 3? That should be minus 36. Okay, so now we can find the critical values. Let's send this over here. You will have, now critical values will be, we just change the sign to equal sign 36, which means minus 4m minus 4 minus m has to be plus minus 6, right? Now one by one, minus 4 minus m is plus 6, or minus 4 minus m is minus 6. So m can be, send this over here, minus 6 minus 4 should be minus 10. Same steps, send this over here, should be 2. This will be the critical values. Now as we can see, minus 10 is before 2, sorry. Now because this will be the line, And if you were to expand this, you will see the term in this will be positive, right? If you were to expand this thing, for example, let me expand this and show you guys. I have minus 4 minus m square. That will be what? 16 minus 8m plus m square. Because it is positive here, the shape will be something like this, right? Now, we care about the term, the values of m for which it is more up, more should be this one. From this, m have to be less than 10, m have to be more than 2. So this will be the set of values of m for which the two equations have intersection at two distinct points. Now let's move on to the next question. The line x over a plus y over b is equal to 1, where a and b are positive constants. Now, meet the x-axis at p and the y-axis at q. Okay, given that p is equal to so pq, the length of pq is root of 45, and the gradient of the line pq is this. Find the values of a and b. So let's see one by one. So at first we have the line is this is equal to 1. Now we understand that at the x-axis the value of y is 0. Replace, you will have x over a plus 0 is 1. X will be a, right? And what else? On the y-axis, for example, we know the value of x will be 0. Replace, you will have that will be what? So 0 here over a plus y over b should be 1, so y will be the value of b. So the point P will be a 0, the point Q will be 0b. So now we have the points P and Q in terms of a and b. That's the first step. Now we know the length of PQ, so how do you find the length? Length PQ is equal to square root. So this minus this is minus a squared, that should be a squared. Plus this minus this will be b squared. B minus 0 will be b, then b squared will be b squared. That should be root of 45, right? Given to you by the question. Now this and this will cancel out, obviously. You will have a squared plus b squared will be 45. That is my equation number 1. Now equation number 2 is the gradient of the line is minus half. So how do you find gradient? Pretty easy. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 should be minus half. So let's try to simplify. We can cross multiply here. You will have 2b is equal to a, right? I can try a squared. That should be 4b squared. Now replace a squared back in here. You will have 4b squared plus b squared. That is 45. That is 5b squared is 45. So b squared, that will be 9. So b will be the value of plus minus 3. Now I tell you here the value of a and b are positive, so b will obviously be 3. And finally, to find the value of a, replace back in your main equation, 2 times 3, that should be 6. A is 6, b is 3 for this question. Let's move on to the next question. So here we have to differentiate this with respect to x. So first thing first, we can simplify the fraction. So what is this? This is the same thing as 2x power 3 divided by x plus 5 over x. That will be 2x squared plus 5x power minus 1. Now dy by dx will be what? Will be 4x minus 5x. That should be 4x minus 5 over x squared. That will be part 1 of your question. Now for p, we have to find integration of this and hence find the value of this. So step by step, integrate this one, pretty easy. We can first increase the power by 1, that should be 6, divide by the power, and divide by d by dx of the value inside, that should be just 3. That will be plus c, obviously. That will give you 3x minus 2 power 6 over 18 plus c. Now continue. Integration of this will be, now we just have limits. That will be 3x minus 2 power 6 over 18, and that should be 1 and 0. So simplify, that will be 3 minus 1, so 3 times 1 is 3, minus 2 is 1 square, so power 6 will be 1 over 18. Minus the value of, so here we have 0, and that should give you what? Minus 2 power 6. Minus 2 power 6 should be positive, 64 over 18. So here we have, let's see, what does that give us? We have 1 minus 64 minus 63 over 18. And of course, simplify, answer divided by 18, that should be minus 3.5. Okay, so let's check. Minus 63 divided by 18 should be minus 3.5. Okay, so that will be your answer for part B of your question. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. In the diagram, we have OA, B, C, D, E, F, G. E, F, G, yeah, is a rectangular block in which OA equal to OB is 6. So OA is the same as OD, 6 and 6. So 6 and 6. So this is a square, but this is a rectangle. Now AB is 12. This is 12. The whole thing is 12. Good. The unit vectors I, J, and K are in the same direction as OA, OC, OD respectively, as we can see here. Good. The point P is the midpoint of DG. So P is right here. It's the midpoint of DG. Good to know. Then what else? Q is the center of the square face right here. And R lies on AB such that AR is 4. If this is 4, this will be 8. Because 12 minus 4 is 8. Okay, let's move on. Now part 1, we have to find the vectors P, Q, and RQ in terms of I, J, and K. So first thing first, PQ. From P, go into Q. So from P, go into Q. So let's look at the diagram and see how can you move from P to Q. So by observation, you will do what? You can move from P, we can go to G, right? And from G, I can move, let me call this X, the midpoint of GF. Move to the midpoint. And then finally from X, we go to Q. Okay, pretty easy, right? So let's do step by step. So PG, so we know the whole thing is 12, right? 12. This will be 6. Now the direction here, it is in the same direction as J, that will be 6J. Plus GX, GX is in this direction. Now the whole thing is 6, half will be 3. That will be 3. And this direction is I, 3I. And plus XQ. Now going up is K, but going down will be minus K. But this length will be what? Because we know the whole thing here is 6. We know Q is exactly in the middle. That should be 3. So that will be minus 3K. So your answer will be minus plus 3I plus 6J minus 3K. Now what's next? We have to find RQ. RQ from R going to Q. R is right here. So again, same thing, step by step. How can you move from R to Q? So by observation, we can go first from R to B. Then from B, let's call this point Y. And then Y to Q, right? So RB will be 8 in this direction. That will be J, right? J. And BY will be in this direction. That will be minus 3I, because I is in this direction, but this is in this direction. Now plus YQ, that will be this one. It is 3. Going up is 3K. That will be minus 3I plus 8J plus 3K. That will be in terms of I, J, and K, finding those two vectors. Now finally, we have to use them to find the angle RQP. Again, we have those main vectors already, so we can just use them. Why not? We have to use scalar products. That will be 3, 6 minus 3. That is vector PQ times vector RQ. That should be minus 3, 8, 3. Is equal to magnitude is 9 plus 36 plus 9. That'll be root of 54 for this one, and this one is 9 plus 64 plus 9, that will be 82. Cos of the angle Q. Simplify, dot product, 3 times minus 3 plus 6 times 8 plus minus 3 times 3. That should be 30. Divide by root of 54 times root of 82. That will be, so cos of Q will be 0.4508. So Q will be cos inverse of that, and that will be, radians is this, but let me find degrees. Cos inverse of 0.4508, that should be 63.2. Degrees correct to 1 decimal place. Let's move on to the next question. A GP has a third term of 20, so a third term of 20 and sum to infinity, in which is 3 times the first term, so 3 times a. Find the first term, which is finding a. So now we already know the type of progression we have. We have a GP. So when we know this, we can first write down all the formulas we know for this kind of progression. So we know that the n term is given to you by a r power n minus 1. Sum to infinity is a over 1 minus r. So let's form our equation. The third term is 20, so 20 is equal to a we don't know, r we don't know, 3 minus 1 is 2. That is my equation number 1. Now we know the sum to infinity is equal to 3a, so sum to infinity is a over 1 minus r is equal to 3a. Now we can try to kind of simplify. We can divide by a on both sides. This will cancel out. So you will have 1 here, and that should be 3 times 1 minus 3r. So let's simplify. That will be 3r is equal to 2, so r will be 2 over 3. Now let's find the value of a. So replace, you have 20 here. A we don't know, r is 3 over 2. That should be square, you get this. So a will be 20 times 9 over 4. That will be 45. 45 will be your value of a. That is, the first term is 45. Now for b, an AP is such that the 8th term is 3 times, so the 8th term, t of 8, is 3 times the third term. Show that the sum of the first 8 terms is 4 times the sum of the first 4 terms. Okay, so let's show that. So let's do one by one. So from part B, we do realize it is an AP given to you. Let's first write down all the equation we know. So t of n is a plus n minus 1 times t. Sum of the first n is half times n times 2a plus n minus 1 times t. Again, this is given to you. Don't need to memorize, but however, if you can do that, please do so. So you don't have to waste time. Now let's replace. So we know that the 8th term is 3 times third term. So let's replace. 8th term will be what? A plus 7d has to be 3 times a plus 2d. That will be a plus 7d will be 3a plus 6d. We can kind of simplify. You will have d will be, so send this over here will be 2a. Okay, that will be my equation number 1. Now we have to kind of use this information. We have to show the sum of the first 8 terms is 4 times the sum of the first 4 terms. So let's do this. What is the sum of the first 8 terms? That will be half times 8, 2a plus n minus 1 times d. That will be 4 here. Expand, you will have 8a. N is 8, 7d. 7 times 4 will be 28. So that is sum of the first 8 term. Kind of we can try to simplify. Yeah, I guess yes. Divide by 4. That is just 2. I guess I shouldn't have expand because that would just leave me with the same thing. That is my sum of the first 8 terms. Now what is my sum of the first 4 terms? That is half. And what else do I have? Half, and that is 4 here, and I will have 2a. N minus 1 is 3 times d. Right. So simplify, that should be 2 here, you will have 2a plus 3d. Okay, so on one side I have sum of the first 8 terms is given by this, and on one side I have sum of the first 4 terms is given by this. Now I also have this. Let's see what do I have. Replace. Sum of the first 8 terms will be, replace d by 2a, you will have 4 times 2a plus, so d is 2a, so 2 times 7 is 14, that should be this, a. That will be what? 14 plus 2 times 4, that should be 64. That will be 64a. Sum of the first 4 terms will be what? Replace d by 2a, that should be 6a. 6a plus 2a will be 8a times 2, that should be 16a. So as you can see, pretty easy now. You can see that. So 64, so we can do this. Divide by sum of the first 4 terms. You can see they will be 64a divided by 16a. That will be what? 4 times. So 4 times shown as required. 64 divided by 16, so it is 4. This is shown as required, that it is 4 times the sum of the first 4 terms. Now let's move on to the next question. So in the diagram we have AB is an arc of a circle center O. As we can see here, this is the arc length and the arc, and the center is O. Now if this is 6, this also will be 6 because they are both the radius. And the angle AOB is 1/3 pi. If you like to work with degrees, this is simply 60 degrees. Because pi is 180, so 1/3 times 180 is 60 degrees. Now, the line AX, so we have a line AX right here, is a tangent to the circle at A, okay? And OBX is also a straight line. Good to know. Part 1, we have to show the exact length of AX is this. So let's show this. How would you find AX? So by observation, you can see that it is a right angle triangle. OAX is a right angle triangle. So when you have this, you can use SOHCAHTOA, right? So SOHCAHTOA. So this is what side? This is my side, which is my A side, right? Between the right angle and the angle, that will be my A side. And this is my O side, so we have to use tan. Tan of the angle, 60. That have to be opposite side will be AX over A side. So AX will have to be 6 tan of 60. That will be √3. Shown as required. You can check tan of 60 will be this, but this is same as √3, right? So, okay, that will be part 1, shown as required. Now for part 2, find in terms of pi and √3, the area of the region. So pretty easy. Step by step, as always. How would you find the area of the region? So first thing first, we can find the area of the whole thing, right? Whole thing is the area of a triangle. That will be half times base and times the perpendicular height, which is 6/3. That will be 3 here. 3 times 6 will be 18/3. Now finally, we have to minus this one. This is the area of sector, which is half r square. Theta is 1/3 pi. That will be what? So half times 6 square, so 6 square 36. Half times 36 will be 18 times 1/3. That will be 6 pi. Now that will be 6 pi, and the whole thing is this. So finally the area obviously will be what? Will be the whole thing, 18/3 minus 6 pi. Now for part 3, we have to find the perimeter of the shaded region. So by definition, it is the distance around the region we need to find. So step by step, by observation, we can see P will be equal to AB plus BX and plus AX. This we know already. This is pretty easy to find. So AB is log of length. Arc length is equal to R times the angle, theta. Let's call this theta. So R is 6 times theta is 1/3 pi. That will be cancel out 2. That will be 2 pi. This is 2 pi plus BX. AX is given to you by 6/3 as seen from part 1. So we just have to find BX. So how would you find BX? Pretty easy. You can first find OX minus OB to get BX. So let's first find OX. And how would you find OX? We can use SOHCAHTOA again because it is a right angle triangle. So here we have the A side, here we have the other side. That will be cos of the angle. That should be 6 over this one, OX, which means OX will be 6 divided by cos of 60. That will be 12. You can check if you want to. 6 divided by cos of 60, 12. So the whole thing is 12. This is 6, so this have to be 6, right? So finally, this is 6. So your answer will be 6 plus 2 pi plus 6 root 3 centimeters in terms of root 3 and pi for correct value of the perimeter of the shaded region. Now let's move on to the next question. So prove the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. So step by step, first thing, let's expand. You will have what? So first we can rewrite tan. Tan theta is actually sine theta over cos theta. Now what is 1 over tan? 1 over tan becomes simply reverse it, that will be cos over sine. So here we have 1 over sine minus cos over sine square. That will give you 1 over sine square minus 2 times 1 over sine times c over s plus cos square over sine square. Okay, so let's rewrite this. That will be 1 over sine square theta minus 2 cos theta over sine square theta minus cos square theta over sine square theta. Now because they all have the same base, we can combine them together, right? So a big fat sine square theta here, and on top we have 1 minus 2 cos theta minus cos square theta. Okay, so now you can see we have a quadratic equation on top. So what can we do? We can try to factorize that. But let me first rearrange. For example, let me take out minus because I don't like to work with minus. You will have minus 1 outside. Inside you will have cos square theta plus 2 cos theta minus 1. At the base we will have sine square theta. Now this will give you what? Minus 1 times, this will be factorization. That will be cos theta. 1 is 1 times 1. To get plus 2 we have to have what? Here we have to have plus 2. Wow, this is interesting. So that will be plus 1 should be plus 2, but again something is not gonna work out because here we have minus. It's not good. So let me see, because I may have made a mistake in terms of sign. So that'll be 1 plus over here, back, here you go. That's my mistake now. My mistake is right here. That'll be minus here, but here we have plus. You can see this is plus already. So I guess that was my mistake. So let me correct this real fast. That will be cos square theta minus 2 cos theta plus 1 over the value of sine square theta. That should be factorize. That'll be cos theta 1 times 1. To get minus 2 we have to have minus 1 minus 1. Now what is this? This is simply 1 minus cos square theta, right? So simplify, that should be, because we know we can get a few values here. For example, what do we have seen before? We can factorize this. This is simply 1 minus cos 1 plus cos. Right, if you have seen this before, right, we know this is this. Now we can kind of play with the terms and see what can we do to find the correct values. So right now we have on top cos theta minus 1, and here we have cos theta minus 1, yeah, over the value of this one, 1 minus this and 1 minus plus this. Now what can we do here? We can play with the sign. We can take out the value of, for example, minus. You will have what? Let's take out minus here. Take out minus for this one. You will have minus 1 times 1 minus cos, and here we have this one. And here we have 1 minus cos, and here we have 1 plus c. This will cancel out, and you will have 1 minus cos over 1 plus cos, right? So your answer will be 1 minus cos theta over 1 plus cos theta, shown as required. Again, step by step, I guess here we can reach this pretty easily. But the only thing here is you can see that we cannot cancel out because the sign are different. So this will be staying, because you can see here we have 1 plus cos theta. This will stay obviously. So we have to kind of know this will cancel out. But on top, at the bottom we have 1 minus cos, on top we have cos minus 1. So obviously we have to think of playing with the signs. For the first one, what can I do is I can take out minus 1. If I take out minus 1, this will become 1 and this will become minus, so 1 minus cos. Now these two matches, we can cancel out, and this brings inside, that will become minus cos plus 1, so 1 minus cos over 1 plus cos. So you will have this, and this will be this, as shown as required. Now for part 2, we have to hence show this is equal to 5, or solve the equation for this. So step by step, so using part 1, we know this is this, so we have to solve 1 minus cos theta over 1 plus cos theta have to be 2 over 5. Then we can just cross multiply. That will be what? 5 minus 5 cos theta is equal to 2 plus 2 cos theta. Send this over here, you have 7 cos theta, and that should be 3. So cos theta will be 3 over 7. Given that cos is positive, it will be in the first quadrant and in the fourth quadrant. First is simply the angle, and this will be 360 minus the angle. So theta will be cos inverse of 3 over 7, right? That will be 64.6, and but also this one now, 360 minus answer, that should be 295.4. So these will be the two values of theta, for which we have to solve this between 0 and 360. Okay, and that will be a question in regards to trigonometry. Now let's move on to question number 9. A curve is such that dy by dx is given to you by this. Now what do I like to do? I like to rewrite the equation, so let's do this. This is known as also as 2x power minus half minus 1. Now P is a point on the curve. Good. We have to find the equation of the curve, which is y. Y will be integration of dy by dx. So let's find that. That will be 2x power minus half minus 1 respect to dx. That will be 2 here. Increase the power by 1, that should be half divided by the power. That will be this. Then minus x, and plus c obviously for the constant of integration. This will become 2 times 2, that will be 4. X power half minus x plus c. We have to find c, this is y. So we have to use this passing point x and y. That will be 5. Let's replace, that will be 5 over here. And that should be 4 root of x. X is 9. And minus x minus 9 and plus c. Solve for the value of c. So let's see. So this will give you 4 times 3 is 12. 12 minus 9 is 3. Send 3 over here. 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 is c. So finally, y will be 4 root of x minus x plus 2. That is my equation of the curve. So the simple thing here is we just have to integrate dy by dx. And I'm sure you guys can do that at least, and use the passing point to find the value of c. You will get this for your equation of your curve. Now for part 2, find the equations, find the coordinates of the stationary point on the curve. So pretty easy. As we know, at stationary point, dy by dx have to be 0. So now we already have this value, which is 2 over root x minus 1 have to be 0. So we can send 1 over here. You will have 2 over root x is equal to 1. Cross multiply, root x is 2, so x will be 4. Now what is the y value? Y will be replaced back in your equation. That will be 4 times root 4 minus 4 plus 2. That should be 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 4 is 4 plus 2 is 6. So the point is 4, 6. That is my stationary point, only one point. Now for part 3, find the expression for this one and determine the nature of the point. So pretty easy. d2y by dx2, second derivative, we just have to use this one or this one. It is easy to work with. D by dx of this will give you what? So first thing first, we have to multiply by the power. That will be minus half times 2, and then we have to decrease the power by minus 1. That should be minus 3 over 2, and the 1 will become 0. So here you will have cancel out. That should be minus 1 over x 3 over 2. Now, so we have to find this value at the value of x equal to 4 to find the nature of the point. Replace, you will have minus 1 over x power 3 over 2. Let's see, what do we have? Power 1.5, which is 3 over 2. That should be this. We will have minus 1 over 8, which is a negative value. You can write since d2y by dx2 is negative. We confirm that what? We confirm that it is a stationary point, is a maximum point. Now for part 4, the normal to the curve at P makes an angle of this with a positive x-axis. Find the value of k. So let's see what is the value of k. So pretty easy. So the normal to the curve, what is the normal to the curve? Normal to the curve, we have to find the gradient. So again, to find the angle and all that, we have to use the gradient. So how do you find the gradient? We have to understand the normal is perpendicular to the tangent. So obviously we have to use the tangent to find the gradient of the normal. Right. Now what is the gradient of tangent? It is simply dy by dx. Right. This is given to you at 2 root x minus 1. Now what is the value when x equal to at the point P? So P is a 0.95, replace 5. So 9 at the value of x, that will be 2 over 3. Minus 1 should be minus 1 over 3. Now given that this is the gradient of tangent, we can understand that the gradient of normal will have to be 3. Okay, so now how do you find the angle between the normal and the x-axis? Now because at the x-axis it is a horizontal line, we understand the gradient have to be 0. So because of that, we don't need to really think about this x-axis. We just have to know that the gradient is 0. So because of that, how do you find the angle? Angle will be modulus of tan inverse of the first gradient of this one normal minus tan inverse of the other gradient. This is the x-axis, this is the normal gradient. But now this is just 0, we don't care about this one. That will be just simply tan inverse of 3. But by comparison, 3 is simply k. Now k is 3. So I guess the question did not ask you to find the angle, just asked you to find the value of k. So k will be the value of 3, which is the gradient of a normal. The main concept here is to find the angle between lines. We have to use the gradients. Now we have seen the gradient of the normal is 3 and the gradient of the x-axis is 0. So to find the angle is tan inverse of 3 minus tan inverse of this inside modulus sign. But we know this is 0. We can check if you want to. Tan inverse 0 goes away. So finally your answer is just this. Now by comparison, this compared with this, k will have to be 3. Let's move on to the next question. Functions f and g are defined by these following values. Okay, great. Now part 1, we have to find f g of 2. So in this case, we can just break it down into pieces. We have f g of 2. Let's first find this one. What is g of 2? Replace, you will have 2 minus 1 cube plus 8. That will be 2 minus 1 is 1 times, so power 3 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 8 will be 10. Simply 2 power 10. Now replace 3 times 10 is 30 minus 4 is 26. That will be 26. Now for part 2, sketch in a single diagram the graph of y and the graph of y f inverse, making clear the relationship between the graph. So pretty easy. As we have seen this many times before, the relationship is simply the reflection across the line y equal to x. So that's one mark. And just we have to draw the two graphs. Again, we understand this is what? A linear equation that will be a straight line. So we have y equal to 3x minus 1. When x is 0, y is equal to minus 4. When y is 0, x is equal to the value of minus, so 4 over 3. Send this 0 here, send this over here, 4 over 3. So y-axis, x-axis. So you have to show this line, obviously, y equal to x as the relationship. The first thing, let's sketch this line. We have the point 0 minus 4 should be somewhere over here, right? And 4 over 3 should be somewhere over here. So you have something like this. That will be your line, y equal to 3x minus 4. Now obviously the other line will be what? A reflection. That's the main idea behind this. That should be the point here, and this will be the point somewhat over here, and this is the point somewhat over here. So let's try your best. Of course you will use a ruler for that. Okay, there you go. Label this as y equal to f inverse. This is 1 mark, and 1 mark. So 3 things for 3 marks. Okay. Now what else? Part 3. We have to obtain an expression for g prime of x and use your answer to explain why g has an inverse. Pretty easy. So part 3, what is g prime of x? So g prime of x is differentiating this one. So that will give you what? So that will give you first multiplied by the power. That should be 6. And we have what else? That should be 6 and x minus 1 obviously, and here will become 2 plus 0. So we found out that g prime of x by differentiation, that should be 6x minus 1 square plus 0. Now, from what you can see, we have a defined domain here. Okay? So usually, what do we know is that this is simply what? This is g prime is dy by dx, right? We have to know this. G prime is simply dy by dx. Now, the reason why sometimes functions do not have inverse is because they have stationary points, or because they are not a one-to-one function. Let's see. For example, let me try to explain this to you guys pretty well. So dy by dx is equal to 0 at stationary point. If you equate that to 0, you will see that x, this will be 0. That will be what? That will be x minus 1 square is 0, x minus 1 is 0, so x equal to 1. So y will be what? Replace back in your equation, you have 8. So the stationary point, we understand, is 1, 8. Right. So if you look at the shape of the graph, will be what? This will be my y-axis, x-axis. 1, 8 will be somewhere over here, for example. And my graph will look something like this. Right? Because, as you can see, if you were to, okay, this is not the graph actually, that will be having 2 stationary points. Maybe some point will be over here as well, but we'll see afterwards. You get the idea. Because of the x power 3, the graph will have a shape somewhat like this. I hope you get the idea, right? But now, again, that's not the point. The point is that for the domain right here, for this one, you can see that from this point, only from this my graph is defined. For example, the whole thing here, we will ignore everything from here, right? The only part we care about is this one, because the question tells you that is the only thing we need to care about. For example, from here, you can see from this point my graph will be going up. Now, how do I know it is going up? Because we look at dy by dx. Because dy by dx is always going to be positive, right? X minus something squared is positive, times 6 will always be positive. Because of that, from this point, it will always keep going up. Now, as you can see, from this point on, you will not have any turning point. So you will not have any turning point. And because of that, it is always going to be one-to-one function from this point. So we can write this down. The reason why is because we realized that g of x for x more than 1 is an increasing function. Right? And because of that, it has no turning points, and thus a one-to-one function. And because it is a one-to-one function, it will have an inverse. So you will have an inverse. So 3 points here. For this, we have an increasing function. So thus, we don't have a turning point, which means it is a one-to-one function, and then it is an inverse. So as you can see, there's a few points to make for your 3 marks. Okay. Now for part 4, express f inverse of x and g inverse of x in terms of x. This is pretty easy. But let's try to do this. So first thing first is find this one. So let y equal to f of x will be 3x minus 4. Make x become the subject. You will have 3x equal to y plus 4. So finally, x will be y plus 4 over 3. So f inverse of x, that should be x plus 4 over 3. That is part 1. Now for part 2, we have g of x is this, so we have to let y equal to g of x will be 2x minus 1 cubed plus 8. So we have to send this over here, y minus 8 will be this, x minus 1 should be, cube should be y minus 8 over 2. So finally, x minus 1 should be this over 2 cubic root of that, and finally x will be 1 plus that. And last step, obviously, we have to express g inverse in terms of x. That will be x. Okay, that will be your last question, where you have to find f inverse of x and g inverse of x in terms of x. That will be g inverse, and that will be f inverse. I think this question is not hard. It is just something we have to know, and with practice, you will know all this over time. And that will be your question in relation to function.